To town or not to town? That is the question. Today, the papers proclaim the imminent death of the city centre, but luckily there are other headlines telling us how to bring it back to life. And listen to the end if you want to hear how freedom of speech is also in jeopardy and how you can help to keep it alive. Meanwhile, signs are the killers of trade, tourism and all things Dublin are working their wonders in government buildings, while a few, some rich, like Michael O'Leary of Ryanair, some not so, like Duncan Maguire of UKEO, are firing back but looking slightly outgunned. The Business Post notes the need for the Taoiseach to get fighting battle number 1 to scrap the cap on Dublin Airport. Meanwhile, the same paper highlights battle number 2, the fight to lower 13.5% VAT to 9%. As things stand, the paper notes, planners dictate Dublin's flyer figures and no mere minister can counter their diktats. Or can they? Take a look at Matt Cooper's report in the Business Post. Long ago breaking, or let's say bending the rules, is Mr. Green himself, Eamon Ryan. Cooper quotes Ryanair boss Michael O'Leary calling out the minister on his nod and a wink letter to the planners about the gas terminal in Shannon. The message is clear. If politicians can pester planners in Shannon, they can pester them in Dublin about Dublin Airport. Meanwhile, and still with the Business Post, UKEO owner Duncan Maguire breaks down your restaurant bill to prove, to my satisfaction anyway, that high-rate VAT has got to go. Rent, 10%. Wages, 30%. Food, another 30%. VAT on food and drink, about 17-18%. That leaves 13% of your bill to pay for rates, insurance, electricity, etc., etc. Now, UKEO has had other problems, most notably November's Dublin riots. One result, well, my bookkeeper told me, says Maguire, that his clients in the burbs are up 50 to 100%. Maguire himself, sadly, is shuttering UKEO for good. Now, high VAT may have some front bench support, but no one backs the Dublin riots, and yet, we have Conor McGregor suggesting that they were inevitable. You reap what you sow, he tweeted in November, adding, Ireland, we are at war. A spread in the Irish Mail on Sunday quotes the MMA fighter, describing his texts as incendiary. And yet, the very same paper tweaks a minister's nose for trying to stem the tide. Humiliation for Helen McEntee runs the double-page banner spread in the Mail. So if you're already confused about the dividing line between freedom of speech and simple hatred, read the Mail and become even more confused. I know I am. To misquote the murderous Manzini in Kind Hearts and Coronets, I never longed for Minister McEntee as much as when I listened to McGregor, and I never longed for McGregor as much as when I heard McEntee. The Sunday Times also leads on Matters Media, with Minister Stephen Donnelly suggesting a ban on smartphones for those under 16. Sadly for him, that scheme, even as I speak, has been tasted and spat out by panels of experts on the radio and on, yes, social media. The cover of the Sunday Independent suggests that justice may yet be delivered following horror and death for sepsis sufferer Aoife Johnson. Aoife died nearly 2 years ago on the floor of University Hospital Limerick. And there's the front page story. Her recognisable symptoms went untreated for a terrifying 12 hours. The paper reports that her family are now furious that the findings in a recent report cannot be used in court. But to end on a lighter note, Brendan O'Connor in the Indo casts a slightly jaundiced eye on the razzmatazz and rulla-bulla surrounding the American coronation of Kamala Harris. If you live in a Rust Belt town hollowed out by OxyContin, are you really going to get excited by a bunch of smug, rich, liberal elite types reaffirming each other? Is there a danger that the Obamas and the Clintons and Oprah might seem slightly condescending? Just slightly, Brendan, just slightly. Before I go, a special message. I started this channel because RTE foolishly pulled the plug on their weekend editions of It Says in the Papers. I wanted to provide a week-long window for Irish newspapers with words of praise and, yes, the odd note of caution or criticism. But I'll have to finish on Friday unless I get some support from those very papers and from others anxious to protect free speech and a wide range of reporting and opinion. All of you, readers, editors and sponsors, will decide my fate in the next few days. And you can help right now. Like, subscribe, comment and tell your friends. And if you agree with me that newspapers are worth saving and supporting, do get in touch. My email is below in the comments. Now, if you want just one example to prove that the presses need to keep on rolling, look at the Kids Can't Wait campaign in the Irish Sun. There's a link to that video in the comments below. The Sun's reporting and campaigning fights for 300 children living with curable but currently completely neglected spinal curvature. Those children get support from the Sun, while Sun writers and other great journalists get support from me, and I in turn get it from you, those of you so kindly subscribing, commenting and keeping this show on the road. Now, there is no mobile phone equivalent. The printed paper is quite a different animal. Permanent, not fleeting, easy to read, and capable of carrying star photographs and serious features. This is the entire newspaper business in Vancouver, Canada. That's it, daily and weekly. One thin sheet. Please, Irish readers, don't go the same way. Please keep the papers alive and keep this channel a cheerleader for their efforts, alive and kicking as well. Thank you.